Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us as we record the first radio show for the month of February. How did it get to be February already? Where did the month of January go? I don't know what the groundhog saw, because as I'm sitting here in the studio, it hasn't happened yet. But it does feel to me, I'm not a meteorologist, I don't even play one on TV, but it does feel like, I don't know, I think it's going to be an early spring. Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa, when I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, kind of gave me that indication. He says once we got through that cold spell, that we had kind of made it. I would like to think so, but I'm not an ice fisherman. Days are certainly getting longer. You can't deny that, right? Even if you want winter to stick around, if you want a bunch of snow, if you want a bunch of ice, you can't deny the days are getting longer. Along with that, though, and the warm temps, ice conditions across a lot of the state really suspect now if there is indeed ice where you like to fish at all. Now, it's very hard for me doing a statewide radio show that geographically reaches from Battle Creek to Iron Mountain. Boy, conditions are really going to be different there, right? And also, combine that with the fact that I record the show a couple of days before you actually hear it. You know, on these shoulder months, as I call them, these transitional months, you know, in the fall when we're transitioning from fall to winter, in theory. In the springtime now, February-ish, March-ish, when you're transitioning from what should be winter into spring, it's really hard to get a handle on what's going on in your specific area, so I'm not going to try to do that. You know what's going on in your neck of the woods. You know what's going on as you look out the window. You know what's going on as you stand on the shore of your favorite river or lake. I guess the question is, will you be out there on the ice or will you be out there in a boat? Either way, there's some good fishing to be had if indeed you can get out there. I had an interesting situation here this last week. I posted a flyer for our big Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction coming up Saturday, March 2nd. Again, we still have a few tickets left. Go to one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor, and you can get your tickets to join us at the Great Hall in Midland. More details on that coming up. But I posted a flyer for that event, and there was a bunch of information on the flyer talking about, where, when, how to get tickets, the things we're giving away. And one of the terms that was used on the flyer was, God forbid, gun raffle. Now, keep in mind, this is a fundraiser for my church and our parochial school. So it's not like we're out there doing nefarious things. We're not out there committing crimes. We're not out there inciting violence. In fact, just the opposite. But the flyer said gun raffle. Oh, boy. Instagram didn't like it. Instagram sent me a note. They said, we have deleted your post because it goes against our community standards. So I'm thinking about this. If you go to Instagram right now and start poking around, the things you can see on Instagram are borderline disgusting and certainly disturbing. But they didn't want to see a flyer that said gun raffle. Wow. It's an interesting world that we live in. Now, I was talking about this very thing on a behind the mic segment here in the studio. And, somebody said, well, if you had young teenage girls in bikinis dancing with a gun in their hand, that would have been okay. But to post a flyer for a church fundraising dinner that said gun raffle, they didn't like that. So we redid the flyer, and we took out the word gun, and it just says raffle. They couldn't ding us on that one. Oh, boy. Hey, speaking of that dinner, coming up Saturday, March 2nd, 1.bidpal.net, 1.bidpal.net/Trinity Monitor. Still some tickets available. Some of the hunts, and this is just the live auction only. African safari, an Illinois bow hunt, a 3-day guided Michigan turkey hunt has been added to this, a UP bear hunt, youth hunts, predator hunts for fishing trips, a Lake Michigan salmon fishing trip, a walleye fishing trip on the Detroit River, 2 Saginaw Bay walleye fishing trips, a UP brook trout fishing trip. We also have Michigan brand products for a year. We have so many great auction items. 1.bidpal.net. That's 1.bidpal.net. But if you see a flyer, it will not say gun raffles. But believe me, we are raffling off a bunch of guns as well. What else is going on? Oh, our Ohio bow hunt is still in the planning. That's with Bill Piles of Ohio Bow Hunting Outfitters, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com. The dates, I think, October 21 through 25. Check with Bill on that or send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. If you are looking to make your first out-of-state hunt and you're a little hinky about it and you would feel more comfortable going with a group of people that you know, being me, in an area that I know very well, with an operation that I have hunted with many times, if that would ease your comfort on your first out-of-state hunt, or if you're looking for an out-of-state hunt that is close, it's drivable, and it's pretty inexpensive, just before the rut, I would encourage you to take a look at that. Again, the website, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com, ohiobowhuntingoutfitters.com. You can get in touch with Bill Piles there, or you can send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and I can help to make that happen. I would love to have you join us. Also, the concept, the trial balloon of the Mike Avery Outdoors golf outing is really getting legs. I mentioned this last week on the show, and I had several people say, sign us up. Sign up a foursome from us. Also, we'd like to help sponsor the event. We'd like to help be a hole sponsor, a long drive sponsor, a longest putter, whatever. And it looks like if this thing comes together, and I believe it will now, I don't think it can be stopped at this point now, we would use the proceeds for MUCC's Camp for Kids. How good is this? A golf outing to benefit kids in the outdoors. I don't think it gets any better than that, right? Okay, coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show, which is the reason I'm here, right? After the break, the Airborne angler, Marty Szlega, will join me. Marty is a very, very interesting guy. A few years ago, he started this franchise, Airborne Angler, of flying over the east side of the state, primarily Saginaw Bay, but up the east coast as well, up the Saginaw River, looking for ice conditions. He's been a valuable, valuable resource for ice anglers the past few years. I think that ice season is pretty much over, but Marty's still out there flying. We'll talk to him about that. Then, Mike Sills, the Michigan Outdoorsman. If you look up Mike online, either he's on Facebook, he's on YouTube, he's on Instagram. This guy travels our state, and he seems to have a very keen ability to hone in on the hot spots across our state. I want to pick his brain just a little bit. And then Tom Campbell of Woods-n-Waternews. Haven't talked to Tom for a couple of weeks. In our second hour, Corky Leque talks about beagles and bunnies. Is that season over now? Because, snow is pretty much gone for a lot of the lower peninsula. Or can you still get out there with a beagle and chase bunnies. It's part of our wintertime heritage, our wintertime tradition here in Michigan. Then Nick Green of MUCC will check in. This week's Ask Avery question, it's a twofer. It deals with two questions, one of them being spearing and one of them being turkeys. But I'm not talking about spearing turkeys. Don't go down that. Don't go down that area. I'm not saying you can go out and spear turkeys. It's two different questions. We will answer them both. And then in our third hour, Captain Paul Schlafley, one of the most respected fishing guides and charter captains in Michigan. He's out of Riverside Charters in Manistee. I'm going to check in with him live from the Manistee River to see how the fishing is. By the way, Paul donated that Lake Michigan fishing trip to us for our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. It is a May trip for 4 anglers, an afternoon trip. So if you want to get in on that, you've got to get your tickets to our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. Now, I've started something here in the past couple of weeks that's been very popular, and I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. Dixie Dave has been doing recipes on this show forever. He gets those recipes out of his big wild game cookbook. For some reason, I wasn't smart enough until now to post the recipes from his cookbook on my Facebook page. I started doing that, and people are saying, oh, thank you so much. It's so hard to write those down. So all that to look forward to. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for joining us right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK 105.7 FM. You can hear us in St. Joe on WSJM 94.9 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Newberry on WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination. The question is, will it be an ice fishing trip or will it be an open water trip? I think I know the answer to that one at this point. But regardless of the season, the time of year, Linwood Beach, a great place. They have a perfect location on the west shore of Saginaw Bay, great facilities, beautiful marina, a full marine shop, boat launches, a campground, and all the walleye information you could ask for. Plus, they're great people. Check them out online at linwoodbeachmarina.com. That's linwoodbeachmarina.com. Another guy, a great guy, who has lots of great information, is Marty Szlega. Marty has become known as the Airborne Angler. His website, theairborneangler.com. You can find him on social media as well. He's providing a very interesting service, and I wanted to get him on the Outdoor Magazine phone line to talk a little bit more about that. Marty, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thanks, Mike. Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've been following your stuff here for the last several weeks. For folks who don't know you, tell us what you're all about. How did you get started doing this, and what is it that you've been up to?
Well, after I left the Marine Corps, where I learned to fly, I came here and kind of started getting into ice fishing. And my friends were always trying to figure out what the ice conditions were. And one day I just said, well, I can go up and take a look. And kind of went up there, took some pictures of the most popular areas and any hazards, posted them, and the rest is history.
And you fly the east side, Saginaw Bay a lot, the river, but up the east coast shoreline as well, too, right?
Yeah, I try to head up all the way up to Port Austin, and then get over to Tawas and head on back down.
Why? I mean, why do you do this, Marty? What's the reason?
Well, I'm fortunate to. I love ice fishing first and foremost. I want to be out there. I don't try to discourage people from going. I'm trying to provide information that'll hopefully get them out there safely. So I am fortunate enough to have access to an airplane rental, and Now I've got wonderful support from the local business community and fishermen. So just doing it to share that safety. I think the ice fishermen and the ice fishing is a community here. Guys will still guard their honey holes, but generally we want everyone to be safe and enjoy it. So I'm happy to do my little part and give them just a little bit of information so that they can make their trip safer.
They can't hide their honey holes from you because you're looking at them from above. You know where they're at.
I can't see through the shanties yet.
Well, listen, I don't want to... Ice conditions can change fast, and we record this show a few days before people hear it. But the last time you were out, the last flight you made, what did it look like out there?
It was deteriorating pretty rapidly. There was a large crack, you could say. I mean, it was at least a 50-yard seam from Point au Gres all the way around to the Saginaw River, and it was extremely close to shore. So majority of the guys, unless they have access to an airboat or something special, they were just fishing, the shore ice, which can be fun, and guys have been enjoying that for a long time. But as far as getting access to the deeper, basin, I just don't see it. There's some some guides have put in a lot of work finding a safe path on the east side. They've got a limited path to do that, but they've done so successfully. I'm just worried about any significant wind we get with the ice sheet being so loose and not really attached to anything that it's going to move a lot.
So from your perspective as the airborne angler, is the Saginaw Bay ice fishing season over for the masses?
No, I would definitely not say that. We got that really cold week and the ice set up quickly. There was still some really stubborn pockets in just random areas. As I'm sure you heard, we had a gentleman unfortunately pass away by finding one of those unlucky holes. And, so it just, I guess I won't worry till after the Super Bowl. That's kind of like my guide is. That's kind of like the moment of truth.
And you made a distinction, too, that the same one that I like to make. Look at a lot of these guides who are out there all the time who know what they're doing. That's one situation. But you get these people who come in from outside of the area, who don't know the bay, who don't have the experience. Those are the ones that I get concerned about for the most part, Marty.
Yeah, I mean, local guys can get in trouble, but yeah, the guides, rarely go alone. They kind of work in teams. They do the groundwork of checking it on the ground with a spud on foot before machines. But even then, if that's one thing to get out there, but if you get significant wind or something happens, you could still be on the ice, but be on an ice flow. So it's very dynamic, and it's 1,100 square miles. You could have a guy out there posting that is just killing him and he's having a great time. That's fine, but unless he posts how he got there and where he is, it's not really useful information because you can have changing conditions all over the place. It's just a giant body of water.
And that's why one of the reasons I think what you do is so exciting, because you are providing real time for the most part. I mean, they're reports that are, I don't want to say up to the minute, but daily reports in some cases. People can go to what you're doing and they can see what the ice looks like. It can change all the time, but I think you're the best source of ice conditions out there. Coast Guard isn't going to tell us. The weather people can't tell us, but Marty Szlega, the airborne angler, can and does. So good for you.
Well, thank you. And like I said, I just provide one little piece. I cannot tell how thick the ice is. And once all the open water is skimmed or frozen over, the airplane's usefulness is kind of gone. It used to be where I could fly just a couple days and then fish and then fly after a large wind or in the spring. Now it just seems like I don't fish. It's constant flights, which is really where the community stepped up to help me out with the expenses.
Marty, you're the perfect example, though, of being careful what you wish for, because if you become successful in what you're doing, sometimes you don't have a chance, don't have the time anymore to go out and do what you love. For example, ice fishing.
Yeah, well, I'm still hoping for that 2 feet of ice, and we can just go out there and relax and not have to look over our shoulder. But you're not going to find me out there anytime soon. I mean, I wish the guys the best of luck, and I know they're having fun on shore ice, but I would just urge them to be careful and stack the odds in your favor. Take as much safety precautions as you can, because in any activity we love to do, there's inherent risks. So you just kind of manage those so you can make it home at the end of the day.
And as of the time we are recording this show, midweek, last day of January, to me the river looks like it's done, right? The river's open water in a lot of places.
Yeah, the river's open water. All the tributaries broke loose and are flushing ice down. I have not been able to fly much because of the horrible fog and low clouds we've had hanging around. So any opportunity I can, I'll be reaching out to my boss to get some time off work and see if I can go for a quick rip and get the latest conditions. But yeah, not ideal. But guys are staying safe for the most part right now, so I like to see that.
You're also an open water angler, and maybe the last time we talked, you were experimenting with something pretty cool about putting a camera back in your lures and seeing how fish respond and documenting those. Were you able to make any progress with that, Marty?
Yeah, actually, the time of year for that is quickly coming up. It's spring. The water is at its clearest after ice out. There's a lot of fish out here, so that's when I try to focus on that. Even if I'm not fishing, I love to just pull those cameras behind and see what's going on and see how the fish react. So I will definitely be doing that. As soon as we have access to the Bay, Linwood Beach Marina and what have you to get the boats out there.
I'm just curious, what kind of cameras did you find that'll track in a trolling situation?
Well, I use the Spyro product. After COVID, with the whole logistics issues everyone having, they kind of, I think, put the production on hold. And there's some other things going on with the app. But that was a great product. It had features for auto recording, and it's got Wi-Fi, and I can download the footage on the boat. There's no SD card. But I also have an AquaView camera that I attach to automatic downrigger, so I can kind of control that from the boat as I go. And I'll be experimenting with all that stuff.
And what have you learned so far as you watch fish come into baits? I mean, can you see them follow a bait and react to it? Have you learned anything at all?
Yeah, a lot of times they'll pass up the bait and go for the camera. The camera's kind of shaped like a goby and it's flat black. So I did take some bandits and get some flat black paint and color those up. And they caught some fish, but I was just amazed to see how they hide on bottom and how many fish won't react to a lure coming by. And it's just always interesting, always different. So I just love to watch that stuff. Even if I'm not catching, I'll go home and be like, oh, well, there's 20 walleye I didn't catch.
So you're saying that we're trolling past a lot of fish that if we don't mark them, we don't know they're there because they're not biting. But there's a lot of fish out there that just aren't interested some days.
Definitely. No, that's definitely. It's nice to mark some fish and then stop and quickly drop camera on, and sometimes my grass will explode and I'm not catching. I'll drop the camera down and it's whitefish or it's gar pike. They show up like big walleye schools, and there's more than just walleye out there. So sometimes when you're getting frustrated, it's nice to take a peek and say we got to move on.
Well, Marty Szlega, the Airborne angler, I think you're doing just an absolute great job, a great service for anglers on this side of the state. Keep up the good work. And I'll look forward to following you online, the Airborne Angler, theairborneangler.com. We can keep an eye on your end-of-the-season ice flights and these early-season open water trolling trips as well, Marty. We'll talk again.
Thanks, Mike.
Marty Szlega, the Airborne Angler, theairborneangler.com. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. Check in with another interesting Michigan outdoorsman. In fact, he's the Michigan outdoorsman. His name is Mike Sills, and we'll talk with him after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Sandusky on WMIC 660 AM 95.3 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in the Sioux on News Talk 1400 WKNW. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Premier Maritime Training. If you've ever wanted to get your captain's license, I think this is a great option. In fact, I think it's your best bet. Captain John Littlefield taught my captain's class, and he can help you become a licensed charter captain as well. Check out the website, pmtcaptains.com. That's pmtcaptains.com for more info. John has classes across the state. I'm sure you can find one that fits your schedule. You know this is something you've been thinking about, dreaming about. Well, why not make this the season to do it? pmtcaptains.com. I want to turn our attention now to a guy I've followed online but never met in person, not yet. He has invited me fishing before, but we haven't been able to make it work out. His name is Mike Sills. He is the Michigan Outdoorsman online. You can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman, welcome to the Outdoor Magazine show.
Thanks for having me, Mike. How's it going?
Hey, it's going just great. How do you seem so plugged into what's going on in our Michigan outdoors, whether it's hunting or a lot of times fishing. You seem to have an inside line into the hot bite. How do you do that?
I just get out a lot. I try to get out as much as I can, and, I try to figure out what's happening. I try to fish a bunch of different areas and a bunch of different species and, just find out what's working the best.
You must have a pretty good network of friends and sources out there, too.
Oh, I do. I got a couple friends that are guides in the outdoor industry, so that in itself helps a lot, too.
So what would be your favorite? I mean, I see you doing everything in the outdoors, but what really gets you going?
Well, I started out perch fishing on the bay. We had a cabin up in Au Grays, and so that's what I kind of grew up doing, that and walleye, and which I still do that, but I've kind of turned off to like steelhead and trout and salmon, kind of that area. And then as far as like hunting, I've gotten really big into like duck hunting and like just the last couple of years started with like upland bird hunting, like grouse and pheasant and whatnot.
A little bit
kind of in that area, a little bit of everything.
I was just going to say a little bit of everything, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
But then this whole concept of sharing these outdoor activities, you've really embraced that, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people like to see my activities and what I'm doing, and they have a lot of suggestions on what I can do to help them out. A lot of questions for me, whether I know the questions or not. I'm pretty sure I can find somebody that does know or put them in the right line. And then, like, people started wanting me to share some of their pictures, other people's successes, which has been pretty cool, seeing other people's stories and other people's journeys as well.
So when you go out on a fishing adventure and you're going to share it to your social media outlets, does that change how you enjoy that activity or change how you do that activity at all?
Not really, because there's been times, like when I went fishing, and of course I've gotten skunked, and I'll just post something about, still had a good time or whatnot, because it's, like I said, it's more than just, sharing like your success. People want to see other parts of the journey as well, which I think is pretty cool.
You are primarily a Michigan guy, the Michigan Outdoorsman, but I did see some stuff about a week ago. You jumped over to Wisconsin. You had a pretty cool trip. Tell me about that.
That was pretty crazy. I had a buddy over there that lives in Manitowoc, and we've been talking for years getting over there, whether it's open water fishing or ice fishing, and then this year we finally decided we're going to do it ice fishing. Then we originally were planning on targeting like the browns because they get a pretty good brown run over there, and steelhead in the river and whatever we can through the ice. And the first day we managed to get two steelhead and a brown and lost a couple other fish, but the bite was kind of relatively slow. And then the second day we switched to Green Bay and we went for whitefish, which I've never caught nor really fished for, and that was a pretty cool experience fishing for them.
A steelhead.
And we did pretty decent.
Yeah, I could see the post. Yeah, and a steelhead and a brown through the ice, Mike?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
How do you fish for them through the ice? I mean, what kind of bait do you use?
We were using, I'm not sure if you're familiar with like an automatic fisherman, kind of like a jaw jacker type deal.
No.
And it's like pretty much your rod just sits there, and when you get a bite, it flips up and like the rod starts bouncing. But we were using like golden shiners, which we surprisingly didn't get any bites on that. And then we were using spawn. We were using like my buddy said it was brown trout spawn, and like green netting, chartreuse netting was doing the best. We got our fish on.
Well, that was pretty cool to see. I've never thought of steelhead or browns through the ice. And now this weekend, as we are recording the show right now, this weekend coming up, you're doing some what, steelhead fishing?
Yeah, I plan on going out Saturday this weekend on the Manistee River.
Mike, it seems to me like, I don't know how you have time for a real job, because it seems to me like you're always out there. Good for you.
Yeah, no, a lot of people say that. I just try to get out every minute I can, between work and other stuff going on. I just try to get out as much as I can and enjoy it.
Well, and you're doing a great job sharing those adventures at the Michigan Outdoorsman on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Mike Sills, have fun this weekend. Sorry I couldn't join you, but I appreciate the invite, and I'll keep following your stuff online. Pretty cool stuff. Thank you, Mike.
All righty, I appreciate it, Mike. Take care.
You bet. Mike Sills, the Michigan Outdoorsman. I love Charlie. If you could have seen Charlie's face right there. Anyway, we'll take a break here at the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, Tom Campbell of Woods-n-Waternews checks in. Somebody just said, hey, I haven't seen the February edition of Woods-n-Waternews yet. I suspect it's out by now, because as you're hearing the show, it is indeed the month of February. Woods-n-waternews.com, woods-n-waternews.com. Tom Campbell of Woods-n-Waternews coming up. And then our second hour, Corky Leque, Nick Green, hour number 3, Paul Schlafley, and Dixie Dave. Lots coming up. Glad you're with us right here on Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, and welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. You know this by now. This is first and foremost a radio show. I like to make that distinction from a podcast. There are podcasts, oh my Lord, there must be 1,000 outdoor-based podcasts, but you won't find many statewide syndicated outdoor radio shows across the country, and I got to be honest, I'm proud to be one of those people. I do think the best way to listen to this show, if you can, is on your local radio station. If you can't, if your local station doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, or if you live in some part of our state where you can't hear the show on your local radio station, it's nice to know I do make a podcast version of the radio show available. You can hear that podcast on my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I put it on my Facebook page. It's on Amazon Music. It is on any social media outlet or any podcast outlet where you can hear any podcast. I suspect the Outdoor Magazine radio show is there, including Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Odyssey. It's even on YouTube. I don't want to give you the impression I don't like podcasting, though. I think podcasting is a wonderful, very interesting way to reach people. And I would encourage you, actually, if you have a story to tell or you want to get the word out about something, to consider podcasting. I mean, it's extremely easy to get started. That's why it's ubiquitous these days. It costs hardly anything to get started. The equipment is minimal, and you can get a podcast out there. I do monthly podcasts for Offshore Tackle, Angler Quest Boats, and Primal Outdoors as well. So keep an ear out for those. Well, as you are hearing this show, it is the first weekend in February. Man, it's a cliche, but time does indeed fly, doesn't it? It was, I don't want to say was, because depending on where you are in our state, it might still be the depths of winter. But however, for a lot of people downstate, other than that couple of weeks, 10 days when it got real cold and we had some snow, it doesn't feel like it's been much of a winter. When I think about outdoor wintertime activities here in Michigan and outdoor tradition is beagles and bunnies. I mean, people have been chasing rabbits with beagles in this state for generations. Corky Leque has been doing it for a long time. In fact, his family has been doing it for generations as well. And I consider him my expert, my SME, my subject matter expert when it comes to beagles and bunnies. And he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Corky, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, doing good, Mike. How about you?
I'm doing real well. I just can't figure out, though. I'm trying to figure out, is it the end of winter? Are we just getting a break here? I don't know where we're at, Corky.
All I know is it's soggy.
You could get the beagles pretty dirty out there running today, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Some days, sometimes these hazy days like this can just be gold, and then other days are just crap. So there's no real rhyme or reason. It's just a matter, these days like this, if you can get a break and some sunshine, them rabbits are out.
Do you need snow?
You don't have to. Majority of my friends are down south in the southern states, and, they're running all the time. And, what's crazy about down there is, the creek bottoms and stuff like that, they deal with what's called swamp rabbits. And where we have cottontails and hares, they have cottontails and swamp rabbits.
And what's this? I'm almost afraid to ask it. I don't know if you're setting me up. What's a swamp rabbit,
No,
Corky?
I'm not. No, a swamper is like a bigger version of a cottontail, where our hares, they turn white, and, with the snow and so forth, where swampers are just like a bigger version of a cottontail, and they run big, kind of like our snowshoe hare does. So...
snowshoe, they'll turn white in the winter even if they don't have snow, won't they?
Correct. It actually, I guess, works off the hours of sunlight is really what triggers them turn colors. And the crazy thing is when you get a melt and they're white, man, you can see them coming from a long ways away. My dad always used to say it looks like a milk jug bouncing down a hill.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Those poor cottontails, those poor hares, when there's no snow, man, they're a target for everything.
Yeah, we, as a rule, we never went up and, took advantage of that opportunity because it just seemed a little too easy. And, it was kind of like, nah,
yeah,
we'll wait.
Do you hunt snowshoes differently with dogs than you do cottontails?
Yeah, the sections where you hunt, the snowshoe are a lot like bigger sections, and they run big. They run real big. And it's a lot of fun. But what, I remember my really young years going up there, and we would get in these thickets, and there would be like, what a deer runway looks like. Well, that's snowshoe hare have runways when the snow is heavy. And you get set up on those runways, and as the hounds are coming back, pushing, 8 out of 10 times, they're going to come down one of those runways, and hopefully it's the one you're on. And I was always really lucky. So
what do you mean by that?
It seemed like I was always in the right place. My brother, he was older than me. My brother Wayne, he was like almost 4 years older than me. He's like, how the heck do you always in the right place? And I said, well, come and sit by me. So as we're sitting there, it wasn't long, and I said, look, right there. And here come two hares, because it's common when the hounds are pushing that there'll be 2 to 3 of them come through. Now, not always, but it's common. So anyway, we're watching this snowshoe go behind this log, and it was in shooting distance, but out a little ways. And we're both just watching, and we could hear the dogs coming closer. We never did see that rascal sneak out. And the hounds turned and went right on through, and he got out of there without us seeing him.
Huh. Did he just hunker down and skitter out of there, or what do you think happened? How did he get out of there?
Because they're white and the snow's white, and what happened, he went behind that log, and then when he went away, he went kind of straight away from us.
Yeah.
And it's just a small dot in the white, and away he went, and we never got to get the shot at him.
You talk about being lucky, or your brother said you were lucky. I feel that in our hunting and fishing passions, people like you who have a reputation of being really lucky, I think there may be some luck, but to be honest with you, I think there's an awful lot of skill and experience that creates that luck for you, Corky.
Oh, 100%, Mike, without a doubt. It's, and no different than like pheasant hunting or so forth. When you know where the likelihood's going to be, if you put the effort in, your luck, is going to happen because you're putting in the effort too. So a lot of that.
You grew up with beagles and bunnies, right? I mean, this is part of your family history.
Yes. That's how long before I could even carry a gun, we were out there with my dad. My dad lived for rabbit hunting. He was a mason, laid brick and block for the union. And when the snow would come, he would tell his boss, lay me off. And he'd say, what? He'd say, lay me off or I'll be working for a different company in the spring. So they would lay him off and he would go rabbit hunting. We never had a lot, but we didn't go without either. But I'll tell you what, the hunting heritage in my family was unbelievable. And my dad is a big piece of that because he lived hunting, especially beagles.
I can relate to that. Growing up in a hunting and fishing family, I find it interesting that in today's world, Corky, that it's not as pervasive as it used to be in some circles. The circles you and I run in, you go up north, you go to the UP, sure. But, downstate, a lot of those people just don't have the background. They don't have the upbringing in the outdoors that you and I did.
No. And the world is changing, as we know. And, the video games, the kids get so involved, but getting out there and breathing that fresh air and just that excitement of the hounds, is just awesome.
The sound is just crazy, isn't it?
It is, man. I just getting 2 or 3 of those dogs going. And like I say, we used to do a lot of running at night just to work our hounds because we did a lot of competition back at one point in our life. And I was thinking about that today, that a friend of mine, his name is Lee Beebe. And Lee, we were all into beagles. We grew up together.
I think I hear, Corky, hold on. I think I hear a good story coming, but I got to take a break. Hang on to that, Corky. We'll come back to that after the break talking about, was it Lee Beebe? Beagles and Bunnies with Corky Leque right here on Outdoor Magazine. Then coming up after that, Nick Green of MUCC at this week's Ask Avery segment. And hour number 3, Paul Schlafley of Riverside Charters and Dixie Dave Minar. Lots coming up. Stay with us. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Carroll on WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Lansing on WILS 1320 AM, and you can hear us north of the bridge in Marquette, WDMJ 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by my buddy Matt Smith Outdoors. Matt is a longtime friend of mine. He's also a very good, top-notch realtor. He's an expert at finding recreational properties and vacation homes, and he can help your family turn a dream into a reality. What do I mean by that? Well, you've been thinking about this for a long time, right? Boy, we'd like to have a spot on the lake. like to have a place up north where the family can go, the kids can go, the grandkids can go, a weekend getaway. Or maybe you're just looking for a new house, your primary residence. Well, I think Matt is a guy who can really help you out. Find him online on Facebook and Instagram as Matt Smith Outdoors. That's on Facebook and Instagram, Matt Smith Outdoors. Good guy. He can help you out. I highly recommend him, Matt Smith Outdoors. Also recommend Corky Leque for being a guy who knows more about beagles than probably almost anybody in this state. And he's a pretty good storyteller, too. And he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Listen, Corky, I hated to cut you off. You were just starting to talk about one of your buddies before the break.
Not a problem at all. So, Lee Beebe, I had stopped. We've been friends since we were kids, and our dads were actually friends. So, anyway, their family was into beagles, and my family into beagles, and we hadn't seen each other for a few years, and I had stopped over to his house, and we got talking beagles, and he says, I started doing this competition stuff. And he says, that's where you get people looking at your dogs to really see how they're unfolding, because you hear them out there running, but these guys are looking at them while they're doing it, and so that's how we got started into the competition side of it. And by doing that, we started actually really getting eyes on them dogs, even ourselves, because we became judges too. And, to see the difference of these guys and what goes on with the breeding programs and the direction that these guys go with these beagles, there was a bloodline that Lee was working with. Back in the 60s, there was a dog called Wilcliffe Boogie that became famous and was bred to everything. But the problem is he was really a slow-style dog. So Lee was explaining this bloodline called Blue Cap Beagles, which they felt was as pure as the driven snow, had no Cliff Boogie blood in it, and that these dogs would maintain good speed and do all the stuff the way they should. So as we're doing this, we're starting to learn about these bloodlines and the different speeds of dogs, and it wasn't just a fluke, it's actually genetically bred into them. So from slow style dogs that are real tight to fast dogs to dogs that'll come to a mud puddle and won't hardly cross it because they, bark 5-6 times. So anyway, Lee Beebe was we all knew beagles, but he helped me take this understanding to a new level. So, great guy. Good friend still today.
When I hear you talk about this, man, there is a lot more to this than I ever dreamed.
You know what, Mike? Yeah, it's just, there's so much. And that's why when people are looking to get a beagle, they really need to know, do I want a slower dog because I just want to relax? Or do I want, like a lot of young guys want those hard-hitting, aggressive, super fast dogs? Here we go with the family stories again. It would have been my mother's cousin, Lefty. Ready for this? Lefty Gottwald. Greatest guy in the world. Everybody loved this guy. But he didn't want for much. He didn't care about the shiny things. Had a little trailer house in the backwoods and had his coonhounds and his beagles, and that's what he lived. So when that snow would come, he was my dad's favorite hunting partner because his excitement was crazy off the hook. So, and he was a promoter. Even though his dog was average at best, people all over they thought he had the best there was, because that guy could just tell a story unreal. So,
can you take a dog that is just average and make them into a good dog? I mean, how much of this process is the hunter, the human, and how much of this is just innately bred into the dog?
The human part of it is correcting them from bad character, okay, running off game and so forth. Other than that, it goes mostly back to their genetics. And knowing what you want is a good start. And then I would tell anybody, if you're considering buying a beagle for hunting, go see some of the field trials, because they love spectators. And then talk to the guys there, and you'll get an idea of what style of dog you may like. And you can see them in the field, because you're watching 5-6 dogs run at a time, and you can see what is good quality and what may not be as good. And the cool thing is, Mike, is when you go to these, a guy who's serious about competition may sell a dog that isn't exactly perfect for the trials, but is still an amazing hunting dog.
Yeah, trials and hunting, I suspect, are two different worlds.
Yeah, they are. And what we found, even with our own dogs, because we would run them so much to get them in shape and just keep refining them. We had this old dog, my brother had this old dog named Jake. And Jake was light on hunt. That means he wasn't real aggressive to find the rabbit, but once it was going, he was great. But what we found is when we grabbed the guns and went hunting, totally different dog, 100%. He would hunt like a crazy dog. So too much trialing isn't always good either.
Today's hunters, the modern houndsmen, are you guys putting collars on the beagles like the bear and coyote guys do? E-collars?
All the time. Yep. Now we, have the collars that you can look at, and it'll tell you your dog's over there 200 yards. And if they decide, that they're going to run off game or something, you can correct them. So they're the greatest things there is.
Yeah, that's got to change. It's got to be a different world from when your dad was first starting out.
Yeah. My dad was old school, and I was thinking about him today. He's 83 years old now. And, his hunting days are gone, but we'll reminisce. And hearing his stories, you can just feel how much he's in the moment and how much he just loved it.
How much of beagles and bunnies is actually taking a rabbit, and how much is just watching things unfold?
When you're a beagle guy, and the same goes with any hound or any type of when you're working with dogs, the dog work is always a favorite part, without a doubt. So, the dog work, I thought about this too. Growing up, we had this dog named Tiger. And Tiger, I was young, probably barely legal to go hunting by myself, and off in the woods behind the house. And I shot 4 rabbits and 2 grouse. And I came back, and it was like, wow, I did great. But the neat thing with that dog, Tiger, is one, he would retrieve, so that made it nice. But when he would bark on grouse also, which in the competition world, you can't do that. But as a hunting dog, you don't mind it. So believe it or not, the bark would be different when he was on a bird versus a rabbit. You could tell the difference. And so you would get ready for something to fly. And so he was just a medium speed dog with a lot of hunt, and hard to beat.
Is a beagle a good family pet too, or do they just like to wander too much?
Yeah, well, I had an uncle who had one for a house dog, and when he would grab his gun, it was time to go hunting, and the dog knew it was time to go hunting. But at home, he could let it out, and occasionally it may go back in and run a rabbit, but he lived on the edge of town, so he never seemed to have a problem with it. So yes, they make great house dogs.
Well, I mean, to me, they're the perfect size. I don't think they shed real bad, so no, they'd be a great family pet.
Yep. Now, depending on the breeding, some, like I had one, the one dog I had, his name was Dan, and he would take off across a 40-acre field if he saw a thicket on a dead run. So, that dog would never make a house dog.
Yeah. Do you think, Corky, I mean, it feels like downstate here, it's not going to be much of a winter left. Does that mean that the rabbit hunting season is over? Or, if somebody wants to go out and run beagles on bunnies, they can do it right till the end of the season?
Oh, you can do it right to the end. The dog work is great. It doesn't matter a whole lot. What's nice about snow is when you're out there, you can tell, hey, we're in rabbits, because there's tracks everywhere. So give the dogs enough time, they should get one going.
Well, I think it's a great tradition here in our state, running rabbits with beagles. And Corky, I always love hearing your stories, and I appreciate your time this week.
Oh, anytime, Mike.
All right. Corky Leque talking about beagles and bunnies here in the great state of Michigan. If you are of a certain age and you grew up in an outdoor family, I suspect you spent some time behind beagles. I wonder, it's so many of these things that older folks maybe took for granted, that this is, something we did and it was something that everybody did. I don't know. There's no doubt that in some parts of our state, we are, I don't want to say losing our outdoor heritage, but it's not as strong as maybe it used to be. So we have to do our part. Our part, you and I, as folks who enjoy the outdoors, to promote it, encourage others, and see if we can't keep this thing going. Nick Green of MUCC coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold. WCBY, that's 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can hear us in Flint on Sports Extra 1330 WTRX. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Escanaba on WCHT 600 AM, 93.5 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by VersaSkins. Just change your skin for the season you're in. Why buy a bunch of different expensive sets of hunting clothes when you can buy one good quality, warm, wind-resistant, water-resistant set and then snap on and zip on an outer shell of a different camo pattern? By the way, Michigan-based, family-owned. You know I love that. And if you're looking for big sizes, 4, 5, 6X, VersaSkins has you covered. And if you are a saddle hunter, VersaSkins has jackets for that as well. Check them out online at versaskins.com. That's versaskins.com. While you are online, please check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and head on over to MUCC.org. MUCC, of course, the website of the Michigan United Conservation Clubs. I would encourage you, while you are at that website, to join the organization. I just renewed my 2-year membership, and proud to be a member of MUCC. Nick Green is their Chief Information Officer with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Nick, always a pleasure. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Mike. I'm glad to be on the show again.
And what's going on in your world right now, Nick?
Yeah, things at MUCC are hot and heavy, kind of as they always are. It's not really a legislative session to speak of right now, given the special elections that are going to happen to get the House back to full strength. But we're preparing for our annual convention that's in early March in Sault Ste. Marie. So this is the time that everyone comes together and MUCC members vote on the grassroots policy resolutions that become kind of our marching orders in Lansing.
This is just a great example of how the average hunter or angler or shooter or trapper in Michigan can actually have a say in the process.
It is. One of the stories I like to tell is our next to be president is a electrician from Dorr, Michigan, and he was actually the gentleman who came up with the mentored youth license idea. And he brought it forward at several conventions. It failed for various reasons. He kind of worked the process, worked the room, talked with kind of agencies and specialists and found some words that worked for folks. and eventually got that through our process. And MUCC worked that resolution into what would eventually become the mentored youth license. So kids can hunt without necessarily having to be hunter safety certified, as long as they're within reach or eyesight of an adult or a mentor. So, a very practical and useful license we have here in Michigan, and that was spawned out of a grassroots resolution from MUCC.
Nick, a few years back, as you know, I brought something forward about increasing the number of rods a trolling angler on the Great Lakes could use. It didn't pass because I wasn't prepared. I didn't know your process well enough, and I put that on my shoulders. But I found that a very interesting opportunity. My question now is, this concept is getting legs with some other organizations. Is that on the agenda for the convention at all?
So we have some folks who have been pretty outspoken against using more than 3 rods, and there's talk right now of MUCC actually having a resolution come forward that would oppose that. So the important thing to remember about our resolution process is, for example, your resolution that would have expanded rods to more than 3, just because it didn't pass doesn't mean we oppose that.
Right.
It simply means we don't support it. So the same would go for a resolution if it were asking us to oppose it. Something like that would take a 2/3 majority because it changes law or rules. So it would be very tough to get that voted through. But I have heard what you're talking about. There's talk about a Great Lakes license. There's talk about more than 3 rods, and I think that's an interesting perspective and something MUCC will certainly be involved in exploring as it moves forward.
It seems like you guys have your fingers in so many different things, and I'm thinking now about getting kids involved in the outdoors. Your Camp for Kids. I approached you, Nick, a couple of weeks ago with a concept, a trial balloon, and this came out one of our live streams. Somebody said, I was talking about golf. I want to play more golf this year, and somebody said, why don't you have a Mike Avery Outdoors outing? And it kind of snowballed, and I really feel like we're going to do it, Nick. And I would like, if we do this, I'd like to put the proceeds toward MUCC's Camp for Kids. Is that something you would be willing to entertain?
Absolutely. I mean, our Michigan Outdoors Youth Camp is kind of that conduit for many kids who want to get engaged a little deeper with the outdoors, or simply have never had a way to do that. So some kids come to our camp and see their first star. Some kids come to our camp and shoot their first rifle. Some get hunter safety certified. I mean, there are a lot of things and firsts that can happen down there, and it's a really special place. So we would be glad to partner with you on that. And if anyone else has any ideas for us to raise money for camp, we're open to those.
What do you see your mission? Is it primarily getting kids involved in the outdoors, future generations? Is it protecting the resources for our existing users? Is it worried about future issues? I mean, how do you strike this balance, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, the MUCC mission overall is uniting citizens to conserve, protect, and enhance Michigan's natural resources and outdoor heritage. So that kind of speaks to all those things in sum, right? I mean, we're the product of many years of working on all of these species, all of these regulations in ways that benefit conservationists. So we don't just work on one species, one thing. We work on all of them, which makes us, kind of where we're at today. And
real quick, you're putting on a push, trying to get new members this year.
We are. We're doing a marketing initiative. Look for that to kind of start developing midsummer and into the fall. And we'll be doing a lot of new interesting things with video and content from MUCC and Michigan Outdoors.
I'll look forward to that, Nick. Nick Green of MUCC, MUCC.org, MUCC.org. Nick, always appreciate your time. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, this week's Ask Avery question. It's actually a twofer. It deals with spears and it deals with turkeys. Now, I'm not talking about spearing turkeys, 2 different topics, but we'll talk about that after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Houghton Lake on the Twister, 92.1 WTWS. You can hear us in Tawas on WIOS, 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Manistee on WTIQ, 1490 AM, 95.3 FM. The Ask Avery question is brought to you each week by the good folks at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. You know this by now, but the way this segment works is this is your chance to get involved in the content of the show, the programming of the show. Send me an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and pose your question. Maybe it's something you want me to answer directly, or go to somebody who knows much more than me and find out the answer. This week comes from Craig Plowman. It's a twofer. There are two questions. The first one, he says, hey, Ask Avery question. I was listening to a recent show about spearing and setting tip-ups. Question 1, does the spear count as a rod? Question 2, if I have a spear in the shanty, does this automatically count as a rod even though I'm just staying warm and not actively spearing? And this kind of goes to my question for Nick Green of MUCC about the concept of increasing the number of rods. You may or may not know that there is a rod limit in Michigan. You are limited to how many rods you can have under your control. And it's 3. It used to be 2. Now it's 3. So Craig is saying, if I'm spearing, does the spear count toward the rod limit? I am not an ice fisherman, haven't speared in years, so I wasn't sure of this answer, so I reached out to the DNR. Lieutenant Mark Papineau of the DNR answered the question. He says a spear does not meet the definition of a rod or a line, so it would not count toward the legal 3-line limit. And I came back and said, thank you, I appreciate that. I said, obviously, Lieutenant, I'm not an ice fisherman, but I think a tip-up counts toward the line limit, though, right? And he said, yes, absolutely correct. So you could have a couple of tip-ups. Tip-ups count, spears don't. Okay, so question number 2. It's a twofer this week. I told you that. Question number 2, also from Craig Plowman. He says, can a tom turkey gobble at any time or only during mating season? Now, I have heard birds gobble, obviously, in the springtime. I have heard them gobble in the summertime. I have heard them gobble in the fall. I actually have not heard them gobble personally in the wintertime. So once again, I reached out to somebody I know who is an absolute expert, Al Stewart, formerly of the DNR, currently chairman of the Nimrod Outdoor Education Group at Hillsdale College. He's a nationally renowned turkey expert. I said, Al, when do birds gobble? And he said, all year long. He said, obviously more in the spring and sometimes in the fall. He said, but they will gobble right on through the wintertime as well. So those are your answers for this week's Ask Avery question. If you want to learn more, send me an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And as you can see, some of the questions can be really big, important items, and some of them can be just, hey, I was just wondering about this. I get a lot of questions along the kind of the second route there because the hunting and fishing guide here in Michigan, and I suspect elsewhere too, can be confusing. The wording in the guide, because of the wording of the law, is not in terms that most of us would use. Now, my daughter, who's a lawyer, could look at that and go, yeah, this is exactly what it means. Me, not so much. In fact, the joke here in Michigan is you better have a lawyer in your back pocket to make sure you don't break a hunting or fishing law. I have always said that if you spend enough time outdoors in Michigan, hunting or fishing and shooting and trapping, you will eventually, unintentionally break a game law. It's like driving. Come on, be honest. You can't drive from your house to work and the grocery store and back or wherever without breaking a driving law, right? I mean, come on, be honest. You're going to sneak over the speed limit once in a while, maybe not come to a complete stop, maybe not put your turn signal on. Okay, that's what I equate the unintentional game law violation to. You take a break at lunch and you lay your shotgun across the tailgate. Well, that's technically a violation. But that is a far cry. That is a big difference from going out at night with a spotlight to intentionally shoot a trophy buck. I mean, it's two different worlds, right? But I digress. I get off track. If you have a question for the Ask Avery segment, do the same thing Craig Plowman did. Send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Let me know what the question is. Maybe tell me your a little story, a little frame of reference on why you are wondering, if you are comfortable with that. And I will either answer it directly if I can, or I will pass the information along to the experts and get their perspective on it. Mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. And as always, a big thank you to the folks at Security Credit Union for making each week's Ask Avery segment possible. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. We will take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back in hour number 3, checking in with Captain Paul Schlafley of Riverside Charters. He is on the Manistee River as we are speaking right now. He has 2 good friends of mine on the boat with him, Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuis, and his brother, Mark Dupuis, owner of Apex Marine. And they're getting fish. So we'll talk with those guys about steelhead fishing. And, of course, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef Dixie Dave Minar coming up in hour 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction. And welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, the first radio show, as you're hearing this, of the month of February. How did that happen? It was just New Year. And pretty soon it'll be Memorial Day. Time does indeed fly. And the weather, Mother Nature, seems like she's been just, what is up with her? We get winter for a while, and it turns into springtime, and I don't know what, at least downstate here, who knows what it's going to be like. There are some things you can do, though, right now in the outdoors. I mean, regardless of whether it gets warm or it gets cold again, or if we get ice or not, or snow or whatever. And what I'm thinking about right now is fishing the rivers. If the rivers are open and the season is open, you can get out on them. If you are a steelhead angler, some of the best fishing of the year is coming up. Paul Schlafley is a fishing guide, charter captain, on the west side of the state, out of Manistee. Riverside Charters, riversidecharters.com. And he is one of my go-to guys when it comes to big lake fishing and river fishing. And it just so happens, as we find him today, he is on the river. He's on the Manistee River with a couple of friends of mine. Brad Dupuis, Mr. Angler Quest, and his brother, Mark Dupuis, owner of Apex Marine, are both out there in the boat with Paul Schlafley. And I think Paul is with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Paul, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy. Sounds like we've got a good sell. I know you're out there with the Dupuis brothers, and you just sent me a picture of a beautiful steelhead Mr. Angler Quest Brad Dupuis is holding. So you're off to a good start.
We've landed 4 so far, so it's not been too bad so far today. And so Mark just got one here just a little bit ago, and there's a few around. It's not been too bad.
Well, if there's any around, you're going to find them. I know that.
Yeah, it's right here. I'm just trying to maneuver through some trees, but it's been pretty good. There's some fish showing up. The river's in good shape, and losing our snow, so it's kind of a strange winter, that's for sure.
Boy, it is a strange winter, isn't it? How has the season been so far this winter?
It's been pretty good. I had a pretty good December. Numbers are pretty good on the fish, and it's shaping up to look like a pretty good spring. The fall we had a really slow fall. I don't know what was going on with that, but fishing was pretty rough. I just think.
Yeah. Charlie. Paul, our yeah, I know our cell's getting really bad here, so I'm saying a little prayer and crossing my fingers here. You say you don't know why the fall fishery was so bad, but listen, Paul, I know you. You've got some theories. You're always thinking about this. Is it a water level thing? Is it a number of fish thing? What do you think it is?
It could be a combination. They are going to lower our limit on our steelhead in our river, and then it doesn't seem like the steelhead numbers are down from years past. But I truly think this fall was water conditions. We had no rain and our river was low and clear, and just low water conditions and clear water, which right now we got kind of dirty water.
Are they taking you back to a 2 fish a day limit, Paul?
They're talking to going to 1.
1,
which they are going to. Yeah, going to 1. Yeah.
Now, will that really will that really affect you though? Because aren't most of your fish catch and release, or are your clients taking fish home?
I get a mixture of people. I mean, like today, they're not keeping any fish today, and you get some guys that want to keep some. How much it's going to affect? It's hard to say. It's one of them deals that maybe people just get used to it. Everybody, they can at least keep 1, and some. It's a lot of times that's just enough for somebody's 1 fish. But I'm sure some people are not going to like it. But it's just one of them deals that nothing can do about it.
I just got the picture.
But we will have more fish.
I just got the picture of Mark. Man, that's a great picture too. I'm looking at the riverbank though. There's not much snow there at all.
No, there's hardly any snow left, so it's probably not going to get a whole big flood and run off this spring. So, unless we get a lot of rain or something. But yeah, the river's in really good shape.
In the springtime or late winter, whatever season we happen to be in right now, I don't even know what to call it. Is the fish run dependent on temp and water flow, or are they going to come in here soon regardless because they got to spawn?
Yeah, I mean they're going to come in regardless, but it does definitely temperature and water levels definitely dictate how the fish are going to come in the river for sure. So I mean, the more rain and water we get, there's definitely going to be a better push of fish coming in. With conditions of the river comes up and definitely helps bring a lot more fish in. And like I say, right now the river's got some good color, and there's definitely fish that came in the system now. I think there's fishing throughout our whole system right now, so up all the way to Tippy Dam. So it should be good. Be a good spring going into the spring. Fishing.
When you get a fish in the boat, can you tell right away if it's a fresh fish or one that's been in the river over the wintertime?
Yeah, generally can. I mean, usually they'll be colored up. I mean, especially the males, they'll be. If you get a big chrome male, he just came in. Or if he's all dark and colored up, he's been in the river a while. And like you say, the ones we had today are all chrome fish, just fresh fish. So we haven't caught any males. It was funny yesterday. All the fish I caught yesterday were females, and today it looks that way too. All females. We're no males around, or at least the males don't want to bite.
I wonder, and I honestly don't know the answer to this. I bet you do, though. Like when walleye run a river, the males will usually come up first, followed by the females later. Is that the same case with steelhead?
It can be. I mean, there's times where I'll see males that run a big push of males early, and females will come after the fact. But it seems like every day is different. Some days I'll get all males, other days it's females. So it's a hard thing to judge on that. I'd imagine they're just all coming in together, when they come in.
Yeah.
I think sometimes they just group up in certain areas, the males will, but then it won't be long, they'll be all pairing up, spawning and stuff. I had one fish yesterday, it was dripping eggs, so.
Really?
Spitting eggs out, so that's really early. So there's probably fish spawning already, right now. So.
Well, and I bring up walleye. I'm a walleye guy. Do you ever get big, huge monster walleye? I mean, the state record came out of a Manistee River, if I remember right, tributary. It was back in 53 or 58 or something. It's been a while, but do you ever see big walleye in the springtime?
Oh, definitely. Up at Tippy Dam in the spring, they catch monsters. Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of walleye. When you're fishing for steelhead, you'll catch them. And when they're spawning up, the walleye will go up and spawn, and I'll get occasionally catch one down, downriver, like this time of year. Not a lot, but you'll get a big one here and there. But yeah, they definitely get some monster walleye. But the season's generally usually closed when they do get them big ones.
Yep,
so.
Yep, that's coming up. Yeah,
there's been some monsters the guys had to throw back.
I see pictures of those every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, you mentioned the river's looking good today. What this time of year? What are your ideal conditions as far as flow and water color and temp and all that good stuff?
What I'll do is I'll watch the gauge. You can look it up on the internet. The dam has a site that the Forest Service will you can check the water levels and temperature and usually the river's been up and down, so that brings fish in. So it's right now it's got really good color. It's not too dirty and fish have came into the system now, so it's that's about perfect conditions now. Should only get better the fishing here, and it seems to be fished throughout the whole river.
And of course, a guy like you're going to fish regardless, even if the conditions aren't ideal. If you got somebody who wants to fish, you're going to go fishing. Whereas the average, a weekend warrior might be able to pick and choose. I don't know, maybe not, but you're going to be out there every day if you have to anyway. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, if I got trips booked, I'm going to be going unless. The only way I wouldn't go is if it was flooded out or something, and that does happen occasionally. We'll get a lot of rain, and the river will get dirty and stuff, and makes it tough fishing. But I don't know if we'll get that this year because we don't have any snow. So usually when you have a lot of snow, you'll get that, and it'll flood out. But this year is probably going to be a good spring, I would think. It's probably going to be early this year, the way it's looking.
Yeah,
the way the weather we got the forecast looks crazy.
Did you get any ice in the river this year, Paul?
It froze up, and the lower river froze up about a week. When it opened up, I hammered them. It was really good. And it was good fishing right when that first opened up. And usually is if you can get in there when it first opens up, it's pretty darn good fishing.
Yeah. We're talking with Captain Paul Schlafley. Captain Paul Schlafley of Riverside Charters. Riverside Charters in Manistee. The website, riversidecharters.com, riversidecharters.com. Paul, you know how this works. I got to take a break here. So you got 4 minutes. You can move or whatever you need to do. Then we'll come back, and I want to talk to you some more, all right?
Okay, sounds good, bud.
All right, Paul Schlafley of Riverside Charters. The website, riversidecharters.com, riversidecharters.com. Paul donated a springtime trip on Lake Michigan in the month of May. An afternoon trip, an evening trip for our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. So I appreciate that very much. You can go to one.bidpal.net, one.bidpal.net/Trinity to get your tickets for that event if you would like to bid on that or many other great auction items as well. Appreciate Paul's support as well as support of many of you listening to the show today. I appreciate it. More coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Holland on WHTC 1450 AM, 99.7 FM. And you can hear us, let's see, can we go north of the bridge? I think we're done north of the bridge. So let's jump to Muskegon, WKBZ 1090 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Killer Food Plots. Now, listen, I know you're not hunting over your killer food plots right now, but boy, we're getting pretty close. I mean, not like tomorrow, but it's coming up. This season's coming up to start thinking about putting your food plots in. What do you want to do differently this year? What worked for you? What didn't work for you? Well, when you ask those questions, why not get an answer from a Michigan-based family-owned company, and that is Killer Food Plots. KillerFoodPlots.com, KillerFoodPlots.com. Probably sometime here in the next couple of weeks, I will get Rich Krazan from Killer Food Plots on the show to talk about preparation for the food plot planting season. But keep them in mind, KillerFoodPlots.com. Right now, though, talking with Paul Schlafley of Riverside Charters in Manistee, the website, riversidecharters.com, riversidecharters.com. He is on the river right now. Paul, do we still have you?
Yeah.
Barely. Okay. Kind of.
Yeah, I'm in a sketchy area here.
All right. Well, listen, if you can hear me, thank you. I was saying earlier that you have donated a springtime trip on Lake Michigan, an afternoon trip in the month of May. You donated that to our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction, and I just want to thank you, buddy, for your generosity.
Oh, no problem, Mike. You've done a lot for me, and I appreciate it. And, and there's some really good fishing right in the month of May for salmon. So it's a lot of fun that time of year.
Oh, good. We'll talk more about that as the time gets closer. But right now, you are on the Manistee. You're fishing with Brad Dupuis and Mark Dupuis, and you're into fish. You say it's a good morning so far.
Yeah, we've landed 4, so missed a few, and so it's not it's not too bad so far today. So hopefully we'll be able to wrangle up a couple more here. So, but nice weather out, just crazy for January.
Yeah,
last day of January.
And these guys that you're with, they're good fishermen. I know I've never fished with Mark, but I fished with Brad, and that guy can catch fish out of a bathtub. So it's got to be nice for a guy like you to have people on board who have some experience.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot easier, that's for sure, when you get somebody who knows what they're doing and knows how to fight a fish. But I get a lot of people that don't, and that's fine. I'm used to it, so it's all fun. It's supposed to be about having fun out here, so enjoying the weather, enjoying the nice river. For sure.
And I gotta believe, a guy like you who has made his living on the water, isn't it nice to be able to do something that you enjoy for so many years?
Exactly. If you seeing what I'm looking at right now, it's gorgeous. Looking at the hills and stuff and the water, it's nice to be out here right out in the fresh air for sure. Seeing animals and stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
How are you fishing today, Paul? Are you in the holes? You in the runs? What are you doing, and how are you fishing?
Fish seem to be in the slower runs right now. The ones we've been getting, it's slower. I've been running plugs and bobbers and a lot of spawn, and it's been pretty productive. Generally I'll mix it up so I can find out what they want to bite, but it's the fish seem to be in that slower current today for sure. Water's still pretty cold, so not many fish up on the gravel yet. So it's a little early yet, but they'll start showing up on the gravel here probably next month or so of March.
And how long will you stay in the river, Paul, before you jump out to the big lake?
I'll fish the river through April. Depending on the weather, what the weather does. If we get an early spring, I might be out in the lake early. It's kind of weather dictated how I run my trips. But generally, the fish in April is full spawn time, so the fish are up on the gravel and stuff. And I'm generally winding it down when it comes to that. So I like to fish in the winter this type of fishing. So
you talk about the weather. You talk about the weather. Your whole world is dictated by the weather. I don't care if it's water conditions in the river or if it's the wind in the summer out on the big lake. I mean, you're always at the mercy of Mother Nature, aren't you?
Fighting weather. It's one of them things, but it's, this last week or so, it's been great. No wind hardly. And we've had a lot of winds, and it's been pretty nice here lately. So kind of crazy weather for this time of year. But there's no snow hardly left. Snowmobilers can't go out now, and crazy time of year generally we have a lot of snow this time of year.
Yeah, snow and ice, which there's none of, which makes the river and a guy like you look pretty good right now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's good time to get out in the river now with the way this weather is. That's for sure.
Paul, if you had a choice, I mean, do you like the river fishing or the big lake better?
I get that asked a lot, and I kind of like the change to the. I don't know. The river's got its ups and downs. You're fighting a lot of boat traffic. There's a lot of pressure on the river. Where the lake, you can kind of get away from that generally. I can't say if I like one better than that. I love them both. So it's to have that change. So I, go from one to the other. So I probably the river. You don't have to fight rough water. That's probably what I probably enjoy about the river the most. You ain't got to worry about dealing with rough seas, and so that makes it a lot nicer.
You bring up something interesting. When you're out on the big lake, you can always troll away from people. You can get away from people. In the river, I mean, you got a finite area. What is the etiquette in the river when you got somebody fishing a run or a hole? I mean, how do you deal with that? You can't jump in there in front of them or behind them, or how do you motor around them? What's that like, Paul?
Well, in the lower stretches, we don't like, we call it low hole, and we don't like when guys get right in below you and cut you off, and where if you go up towards the dam, that's pretty much what's going to happen there, because everybody's, there's boat to boat at the dam. But lower stretches of the river, if you're in a hole, it's generally your spot, and you don't go and cut behind some guy, and that you might not make many friends that do that. So, but
yeah.
Generally, you go above guys, but there's certain times where you can cut below people, but it's going to be ways downriver, so they got room to fish.
So if
you're always constantly moving.
Yeah, if a guy's moving, if a guy's working his way through a run or through a hole, is it accepted to go above him? Is that okay, or does he own that hole as long as he wants it?
I would say generally it's accepted to go above them because they've already probably fished it, the up above them. So generally, yeah, you can go above guys and not have an issue, but it's usually going right below guys where they're fishing.
Yeah, I got you.
It's just an etiquette. You don't do that,
Yep. That makes sense. And speaking of how things work in your world, you mentioned the big lake and lots of wind. If you got a trip scheduled for the morning and it's blowing like crazy, who makes that call of whether you go out or not? Do you leave that to your clients, or is that you as the captain's call completely?
That's generally me. I mean, that's generally the captain that'll make the call, 9 times out of 10. The captain's going to do it. I mean, I'll get people that want to go, but it just depends. Usually the captain makes the call and you don't have a problem with that, People do get kind of upset sometimes when you cancel, but can't control the weather, so it is what it is, You don't want to go out and get beat up, and so there's times I've canceled and I probably shouldn't have, but most of the time you try to make the call and look at the weather forecast, and it's hard to say sometimes when you get storms coming in and stuff. It kind of messes your program up. So I don't want to go out if it's bad. We got lightning out and stuff, so I usually cancel when it's stormy.
I would bet that some of those people who might be upset that you made the call, had they gone out on the lake and realized just how bumpy and uncomfortable it can be, they might have a different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, I think they're just more bummed out. They, plan that trip all year and they can go. And it's more of I think they're just bummed out.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, I can't say I've had anybody get mad that I canceled. They just more bummed out that they couldn't go. And you could tell they were, but it is, it's just like, man, it's just not going to be a good day,
Yeah, I got you.
Get sick and stuff.
Just a couple of minutes. Yes, and that's why the river's so nice and it's protected. And this time of year when there's nothing else going on, I get that completely. So let's go back to the river for a second here in the couple of minutes we got left. I started to talk to you about this, Paul, but I don't know how much we got into it. So are you running spawn now? Are you doing plugs, or what are you running right now?
Spawn. We're running spawn and drop back and spawn, and then using bobbers. We'll run beads too. Run a lot of beads. But I've been mainly running spawn lately. But I change all the time. There might be days I'll run strictly beads. Just playing with stuff till you find what works for you for that day. And it's generally how I fish. I don't fish just one method. But plugs are probably the easiest way to fish. I haven't caught any fish today in plugs. We did get one yesterday in a plug. And they really hit plugs really good and catch a lot of fish on them. And it's a lot easier with plugs so you don't get snagged up. You don't snag as much as getting, on bottom plugs. And you can fish a lot of holes that are snaggier. So they got, every method's got its, benefits, disadvantages. But generally, our spawn and beads are probably the most used in this river for sure.
All right, Paul, listen, I'm going to let you go. Our time's up and our cell's getting a little squirrely anyway. Say hi to Brad and Mark for me, and I'll be posting those pictures you sent me, and we'll let people see what you're doing. The website, riversidecharters.com, riversidecharters.com. Paul, I look forward to talking again soon, and again, thank you for donating that trip.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right. Mark, wait, the cell. I thought we had him, Charlie, and we ended up getting a conversation with him. Paul Schlafley of Riverside Charters, riversidecharters.com, one of the best guys out there. I look forward to talking with Paul next time when he's got a good, solid cell. And again, he generously donated a trip to our Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner and Auction. More details on that coming up after the break. And, of course, we will wrap up this week's show with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar doing something new now and really kicking myself that I haven't been doing this before. I've been posting each one of Dave's recipes to the Facebook page. I mean, all I got to do is take a picture of that page in his recipes, and I haven't been doing it. Well, we are now. So, oh, well, you learn. You do this long enough, you finally figure some things out. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show on more than 30 stations across the great state of Michigan, including in Manistee, WMLQ 97.7 FM, in Traverse City, WTCM 580 AM, and on the other side of the state, in Saginaw, WSGW AM and FM 790 AM 100.5 FM. I am in the studios of WSGW right now, but for this few short minutes every week, I call it the Outdoor Magazine studio, and so far, nobody has argued that point with me. I'm here with Charlie Root. Charlie doing a great job, as always. Appreciate that, Charlie. And the weather is warming up enough that oh, yeah, yep. There's a couple. See them out there? Couple cars? Yeah. Couple cars, and there are kids in the back. But, since today is a school day, as we're recording this, I'm sure those kids are, they're not school age yet. But they're here to cheer on Charlie. And Charlie's like, where does this go? You just keep making this stuff? No, Charlie, it's true. Look out there. Anyway, Charlie, I appreciate that. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Reader Landscaping. Reader can take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. I just called the guys at Reader yesterday. They were at my place last fall to trim up the trees around the house. And when I talked to the guys then, they said, look, we can only take these back so far, but we can come back in the wintertime when the trees are completely dormant and we can see what we're dealing with and we can get these things back. I said, I want them, just as nice and tight and small as you can without killing the trees. And I guess if you kill the tree, we'll plant another one. They said, okay, so yes, we can do that. I talked to them yesterday. They're going to come out and do a little dormant season pruning to get those things down as small as they can. So if you have projects like that, if we do get some more snow and you want some snow removal done for your home or your residence, Reader can take care of that. But I think the main thing right now is, as we get ready for this next season coming up that starts with S and ends with spring, get on the list. Get your projects in the works. Don't wait until April and say, oh, yeah, let's do this. Well, then you might have to wait a while. ReaderLandscaping.com. That's ReaderLandscaping.com. The picture, talking with Paul Schlafley of Riverside Charters. He's a very, very interesting guy, and I apologize that this cell was a little bit squirrely. We take a risk, whenever we talk to somebody out on the water, and this time it kind of bit us a little bit, but you could get the gist of what he's saying. He sent me two pictures, two very nice pictures of two very nice steelhead with two very nice guys, Brad Dupuis, Mr. Angler Quest, and Mark Dupuis, owner of Apex Marine. I have those posted on my Facebook page if you want to see what that looks like. Also on the Facebook page, as I said earlier, each week's recipe from Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, who will be joining us shortly after the break. I have spent a lot of time on the water with Paul, not so much lately, but years ago when I had the TV show. Very interesting guy. I remember one time in particular, it was springtime, and we were trolling the shallow water, the skinny water, for browns. and we had boards running right up in the troughs. You know how they get you get the sandbars out there and they make troughs? We were running boards up there with body baits up in there, and we got a really nice fish on. And turns out it was a big brown, which is, we were looking for brown trout, but this fish was, honestly, on a scale, it was just over 20 pounds. And at the time, I got a TV camera on my shoulder, and I'm like, this is great. We just documented you catching a 20-pound brown on tape. This is beautiful. We're close enough to the shore, that we can see people up on shore. It's very cool, very good story. Maybe I'll see if I can find it and repost it. And Paul looks at it and goes, yeah, it's a good fish. And he's going to put it in a cooler. I'm like, oh, hold on. You're not going to land a 20-pound brown in front of me without getting some pictures and some good video of it. But that's the kind of guy he is. He catches so many fish and so many big fish. To him, a 20-pound brown is just like, it's a good fish. Good fish. I should, and you know what? This would be the perfect time of year to do that. I'm going to make myself a note right now to go through my video archives and post some of these stories that I had in the past that might be of interest now. For example, that's how I found the Fred Bear interview. I was going through some boxes of videotapes. You don't even know what a videotape is anymore, but some boxes of tapes. I opened up the box. I was going to throw it away. And my wife Denise says, you know what? You just might want to look at those tapes before you toss them. So I opened the top of the cardboard box, and the very top tape said Fred Bear Raw. Now, raw means unedited. This was the raw video, the original video we shot of the Fred Bear interview. I said, ooh, honey, that was a good idea. So glad I didn't throw that one away. Also, old stories like the interviews with Mitch Rompola, the story that will not go away, the Rompola buck. I have a hard time understanding why this is still an issue and why people who've never met the man and have no vested interest in it at all are so vehemently for or against it. I guess, if Mitch doesn't care, why do we care? Why do you care? But video like that. And as I go through these archives, I'm sure there are other things. I've got video of me and Morton Neff and things like that. That might be of interest to some people. So making myself a note, Avery, go through video archives. Do it now before we get into springtime and turkey season and walleye fishing. It's a perfect time to do it. Go through video archive. There. Once I make a note of it, and if I actually put it in my phone, it could happen. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with you-know-who, wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. I don't know if it's a fish recipe. I don't know if it's a small game recipe. I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you this. I'll post it on the Facebook page, and you'll be able to look it up. Dixie Dave coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I do certainly appreciate it. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I would love to hear from you. If you have been with us before, you know I like to wrap up each week's show with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. And this week is no exception. The man himself is back with us. David, welcome back. How are you?
Really good, Mike. Enjoying this weather, that's for sure.
Isn't it something? I mean, man, it just, if I was an ice fisherman or a snowmobiler, I might not like it. But since I'm not, I'll take it.
Yeah, same here.
David, what do you have for us this week?
Well, I got a blueberry walleye, which was our second best seller in back of the walleye New Orleans that we did last week. And it was one of the more requested dishes that we had.
I remember this one. What is this in the cookbook?
Yeah, page 23.
Page 23. Okay, I will post that this week. I remember this one with the color of the light colored walleye, and then that blue from the blueberries kind of swirling around in the sauce. David, I can't wait to hear this one. Let's go.
Oh, we did this for the show, too. I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, you need about 8 to 10 ounces of boneless, skinless filet per person, a couple of beaten up eggs, a large shallot. It's kind of a cross between an onion and a garlic. It goes really good with this dish, diced up real fine. You need 2 to 3 ounces of blueberry schnapps and a small jar of pearled onions. You know, it's kind you put in cocktails when you make a kind of cocktails. You know, they're a little jar, and they're whole onions that are kind of almost pickled, so to speak. And you need a jar of chicken gravy. Use about a cup and a half of it. A couple ounces of heavy cream, a couple of tablespoons of garlic butter. Or if you don't make garlic butter, you can dice up between 1 and 2 cloves of garlic, dice it real fine, and then have regular fresh butter we're going to add to it then, okay? A couple of tablespoons of chopped parsley, 3/4 of a pint of blueberries, whether fresh or frozen, half a cup of pecan halves, a little dash of white pepper, squeeze of a lime, and flour to dredge, and olive oil to saute. So you're going to dredge the fish in flour, then in the beaten up eggs. In a nice hot pan with a small amount of oil, you want to brown the fish on both sides. You want to start it with the rib side down, so when you turn it over, then the rib side would be up, and that's a little more eye appeal. And then you're going to take and put the fillets in an oven-proof baking dish. Wipe the pan out with a paper towel. And you can saute the onions, and that's about it. Maybe the shallot. Yeah, you put the shallots in there, too. And saute for just a minute or two. Remove the pan from the stove, and get it away out in the middle of the room and flambe it with schnapps, or just add the schnapps. And sometimes schnapps, unless you get it really, really hot, it's not going to flame up. So you can just let it sizzle a little bit, and then add back to the burner and put the gravy, the pepper, the heavy cream, the garlic, butter. Put about 1/4 of a stick of butter in it and half the parsley. And you want to reduce this down real fast. And then you're going to spoon this mixture over the fish in the baking pan, and you're going to bake it uncovered for about 10 minutes is all, at a 350-degree oven. Then when you get that to that point, you're going to arrange the pecans and the berries around the fish and return it to the oven for only 4 or 5 minutes, just to get the blueberries nice and warm, and serve with your favorite steamed vegetables or small boiled potatoes. And you always want to remember to add the berries at the end so it stays together. If you cook it too long, the berries just mush up and they don't hold their integrity. Because it would taste the same, but it's just the eye appeal that we used to always look for.
You said fresh blueberries if you can get them, if not frozen. We're not going to get fresh blueberries this time of year. Are you going to actually taste it in the dish itself, Dave? Is it going to make a difference?
Yeah, because if the fresh ones, you can buy fresh blueberries all year round. They might come from a country. Gotcha.
Also, I'm thinking one thing here. I remember you making this for the TV show, and I was talking about posting the recipe from the cookbook. Wouldn't it be cool if I get really ambitious and go back and find some of these old videos and post those online too, of you actually cooking them up?
Oh, my word, Mike, that would just be amazing. I think people would love that.
I know they would, but it could be a lot of work looking for all that stuff.
I know. Yeah, because you probably don't have them labeled or
No. I'll look, though, because I do remember this one. Also, one final point real quick before we let you go. I understand you know very well one of my guests from earlier in the show, Mike Sills, Michigan Outdoorsman.
Oh, yeah. He's a local boy there from Birch Run, and I got to know him real good because we went hunting together and fishing and stuff like that. He's a heck of a good guy.
Oh, I could tell he's a good guy. I haven't met him, but I wanted to make that connection. All right, David, my friend, always a pleasure. It is page 23 in the cookbook. I will post it, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
What do you want to do next week? Some kind of small game or fish?
Let's do small game. Let's do small game next week.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show, as are you, because if you weren't listening, there would be no reason for me to do this, and I honestly don't know what I would be doing. I'm not ready to retire, I'll tell you that. I'm not. Hopefully it doesn't have to happen for a long time. My name is Mike Avery. The show is called Outdoor Magazine. The website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. The email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Check it out. Check out the social media stuff I do as well. And I will talk to you next time right here on Outdoor Magazine.